Yeah.
Um, but oh yeah, and yeah, we can start.
Sure. Good
Uh,
morning.
yeah,
Hello.
out here with Zac Smith, author of Everything's Totally Fine. I was thinking we could talk a little bit about the book and stuff, and then also nice to meet you. This is funny.
Yeah, yeah. Nice to be on a call with you, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're
How you
we're here
doing?
trying to do the
Is this
formal
early
ass
for you?
intro.
Yeah, I don't know.
Early, late. What's time? Um,
It's
how about you? When'd you
9:30.
get up?
I got up a little before 6 today.
Damn.
Usually up around 6. Yeah. I mean, my kids are up a little early, so
H-
uh,
How old's your
yeah.
kid?
I got two. I got a 5 and a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old.
Daughter and a son?
Uh, I try not to talk too much about
Bet.
stuff about them, but
Fair, fair,
there's two of
fair.
them. They get along great, and they
I
keep me up
just
at night.
Yeah, it's right. Yeah, yeah. It's nothing. Yeah. It's a lot of good parental stuff in your book, but
Uh,
I feel that. I
yeah,
feel that.
yeah, yeah. I read a lot of it when my oldest kid was like a toddler. So there's references to having a toddler.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely. Um,
yeah.
that's
What
real as
time do you
hell.
usually get up? What's your schedule like?
Um, my schedule when I'm on, yeah, my schedule is man, it's all over the place, dude.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. If you
Yeah,
don't have kids, you can do whatever. That makes sense.
it's going till you drop and then start over.
Sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, damn, I must have yeah, I actually have to admit I hadn't read the damn book, but I bodied the book and
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, you know.
I was laughing my ass off, dude.
Thanks.
How crazy
Uh,
is yeah,
no, go ahead.
how crazy is that they came out our books came out the same month,
I was thinking about that, right? Yeah, January 2022.
January 2022.
That's January is a rough month, I think, for like anything to come out. I was thinking about it in terms of like music, because
Yeah,
like uh no, it's too late for obviously the year before, so no one's gonna write about your book for like end of the
yeah,
year lists, and it's too early for the next year, so no one's gonna
yeah,
remember your book for the end of the. Not that anyone's gonna write about my book for the end of any end of the year list, but for even for a bigger book, I think January, December, those are rough months for a book to come out
yeah,
for
maybe,
almost
maybe.
anything.
No, I feel that. Is there some weird static going on, or am I only hearing that myself?
Might be if you're hearing it though, it's probably recording. It's probably the shitty microphone.
What
Should
kind
I?
of mic you got? What kind of mic you got? A
Uh,
Yeti?
no, it's a fine.
You got a Yeti gaming mic?
No,
Oh
it's not
shit,
like
dude.
super off. I don't know.
Oh, that looks pretty good.
It's supposed to be good, but then it's making it static. I don't know.
Is you think that's your mic?
It might be. Should we can
She reach
yeah?
should we
Should we
reset it
like
one
check the
time?
recording and then I'll just
Yeah,
use the
yeah,
phone.
that's a good call. That's a good call. I'll check it and then but if I
Yeah.
end it, I don't know if I can come back onto this one.
Okay. Here,
Hmm.
let me just unplug it. Plug it.
Okay. I'm gonna check it real quick. I'm gonna make a new one if I have to. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Is the static on?
Oh yeah. Maybe we should just keep going like this.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you wanna?
Fine. That works. Yeah, that's fine.
Um
I gotta get a new mic. This thing sucks.
damn. Um
Yeah. Sorry about that.
no, it's all good. But we were saying
Yeah, Starbucks came out at the same time, which is a crazy time.
yeah. But January, but that specific January.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
What
it
day did
was.
it come out? Do you remember?
Oh, that's a great question. We changed the date a couple times. It was gonna come out, I think, in like November, but then there were. That was back. Did this happen to you? Because this is back when like all the supply chain stuff was super fucked up. So like it was
Yeah.
hard to get books printed.
Yeah.
The printer like pushed it out by like a month or two.
Yeah.
Uh, so I think it could have been worse, but yeah, it's supposed to come out late 2021. But I ended up getting my author copies in the mail like 2 days after my second kid was born, or like
Damn.
the day after.
Damn.
Uh, yeah, so that was cool. And then the official date was January.
When did you finish writing it?
That's a good question. I was shopping it around in 2020, and I guess yeah, like 4 years ago now. So I don't remember anymore. But yeah, it was like I had versions of it probably mid to late 2020, and then like all the final edits were mid 2021. Like May 2021 is I think when we finished like the final draft of it.
Okay. And it was definitely kind of written over the pandemic.
Yeah, yeah. I guess so. Yeah, I was working on it before, and then that's when I really like kicked it into gear. Yeah, because everyone's at home, and I think I was thinking about that because someone else asked me about it. Because a lot of the like I was writing about like I was synthesizing a lot of stuff that I was doing like during the middle of the lockdowns and stuff. Like
Yeah.
any like so there's very little like interpersonal interaction and lots of like outdoors stuff where like you're not really getting close to people, and so
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it adds that like people felt like strangers, like wild animals. You're like, oh shit, there's a person over there. I gotta stay away.
A lot, a
Yeah,
lot
so
of
it was
just
a
like,
wild time.
yeah, like moving around the house, like losing your shit. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We were in a small apartment, and we had like a 1 year old, 1.5 year old. Uh,
somewhere, where you, or yeah, you want to say the general, the
yeah, sure,
state
sure.
you're
Yeah,
in?
that's fine. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, I'm in Massachusetts. I'm in like Metro Boston. I'm in like a small town. I don't know if you call it the suburbs because they're like just small old towns around here, like kind of
Yeah.
close to Concord,
Okay.
kind of close to Walden Pond. But like, it's just like a smaller. It's not as rich as Concord, you know. If you drive into Concord, it's like mansions all over the place. But it's just like little houses out here. Um,
Got you.
but yeah, at the time we were in Somerville, which used to be like a rough town, but now it's like super gentrified. And we were
Yeah.
there for a couple of years. Yeah,
Okay. Word. How old are you?
I am 34.
34.
Yeah,
Damn, dude, we're on like
I
same,
know.
same schedule. That's crazy. Yeah, I was listening to the Mike. I think I did listen to it when it came out, but I was listening to Michael Silverblatt one back, and it's
Mm,
crazy. Like it's like easy to access because he stopped posting
right. Yeah,
episodes
it's like
like
the
not long
what like
after.
almost second to last one he put up. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
nuts.
and he like says some shit in the beginning where he's like, I mean, it's true. It's true. Like he's like, everyone wants to act like everything's totally fine, even though there's some shit going on that I can't even say on the air.
Yeah,
I was like, damn, dude.
yeah, yeah. It was. Yeah, I mean, he was great to talk to. He's like a super cool guy. I hope he's doing all right.
I mean,
Yeah,
he's a goat, dude.
it was a great time for him. Yeah, I mean, he's like incredible.
I wish I could come through and just spit something I wrote down about your book and go right into it, but I can't. I can't. Well, I
No, that's
will. I
fine.
will. But
No, 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 no. You do it anyway. Yeah, yeah. No, he was
but
cool to talk to. He was super nice, and
yeah,
yeah, I felt really lucky.
yeah. But yeah, it was like weirdly emotional. It was emotional. It kind of made me like sad, like listening to that podcast. It
Yeah,
didn't make me sad, but it was like he was like, there's like this literary community, this great literary community. I'm so glad he like reconnected to it. It was just you and Tao being like the spokesperson, the
yeah,
spokespeople, and like just being so sweet and nice.
yeah. Because yeah, especially it was pretty tumultuous at the time.
Yeah,
It was just kind of sad.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he was like an early champion to Tao too, and he was
yeah,
always he was helping people from way back, and yeah, I don't. It was, you know, yeah. This shit gets yeah. People take weird stuff personally, but it felt good at the time to be like, I don't know, because there's not too much like small press representation in the bigger media, and
yeah,
so it felt like a big gamble for him to like um, talk to us and talk about the book and sort of like legitimize it in a way that like I don't think happens as much anymore.
yeah,
So that was cool, and I felt like as soon as we were done recording, I was like, oh man, I should have just like spent the whole time hyping up like all my friends' books and all these other small press books, and try to like get the word out. But
nah, you did a little bit. You did a little bit. Um, yeah. No, it was interesting looking at. Yeah, so this book is yeah, damn. I remember when I was first seeing you on. Do you remember? Yeah, I remember. I was trying to think of when I was first aware of you online.
mm,
Um, When do you
Yeah, it would have
what do you think
been
when do you think that was?
2018, 2019. I was starting to publish stuff, I think, like 2018 online.
Yeah.
I started out just putting small stuff on websites and like magazines and just like a lot of people, just like submitting stuff like
Yeah.
wherever, like getting excited about it.
Yeah.
And yeah, you had stuff in like X-Ray and
See, it was from
uh,
that earlier era, yeah, like Soft Cartel
yeah,
and stuff like that.
right, yeah.
Because I remember
Yeah,
the
you
people
had
I remember
something in the
from,
early days of Back Patio,
yeah,
like right when it was
exactly, early
starting
days
out.
of Back Patio.
Yeah,
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 I remember you were like on a tear. I remember
yeah.
like you put you or not like I was there, but like I just remember like because you were you had just finished some like PhD or something. Was that right?
I dropped out, or I
You
basically
dropped out.
stopped doing it. Yeah, I
You
was
just
doing a
dropped out and you
PhD.
started spazzing with the short, absurd, like funny and random stories.
I guess. Yeah. I was doing grad school for linguistics, and then I got a like I
Okay.
wasn't gonna finish it. Um, and then I got a job, like an office job out here in Massachusetts. So I just like dipped. I'm like, okay, bye, and then just moved out here. Um, and then just having that 9 to 5 back meant I could like read books again and
Yeah.
feel good about reading fiction and yeah, just like rediscovered a bunch of stuff I used to like reading and read new stuff. I just grabbed stuff off the used bookshelves and it just had cool covers. I just read weird shit. And yeah, I started writing. Like I tried writing, I think like anyone else, I tried writing like a novel. It sucked. And I tried writing another one and it sucked. And then I started doing small stuff and just like engaging online.
Yeah.
And that's sort of where it started popping off a little bit and like meeting people. And that's when Giacomo started Neutral Spaces. And so like people were blogging and like writing together in the stream. I was talking to Cabin and like, yeah, just like meeting people online, you know, just like whoever was around
What were
and
those novels like?
and stuff. Oh, they're bad, man.
You gonna resuscitate them?
No, I thought about it, but it's like I think they were good to do, to figure out what I didn't want to do, or like think about uh, sort of like what mindset I had going into them. But yeah, I don't think there's much like you could scrap from them. They're pretty. One is sort of like kind of like a body horror book, um, which I definitely would want to publish, but like it was kind of inspired by this line. Not line. You remember in I think it was Kanoskar's book 5, My Struggle
Okay.
book 5. There's like an
Okay.
excerpt from his first novel that's not in English right now, all about like a burning building.
Okay.
Or like him as a kid or some kid seeing this burning building, and I was like, that's tight.
Okay.
I want to I want to write something like that.
Damn, I
And
don't
so
remember
it's
that.
just yeah, it was like towards the end. I don't. He had these like passages where he just like
But not a time for everything.
no,
Before
not
that.
that one. That's the second one. Yeah, this one's
Yeah.
called Out of the World.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that it's supposed to be translated this year, I think, on like Archipelago or Delphi or something,
Okay.
or maybe 2026. I don't know. They keep pushing it back because it's like
Yeah.
800 pages. It's
Yeah.
really big.
Damn.
Uh, yeah, but no, I just remember that and think like this is a cool scene and like I liked how it made me feel, and then so I started riffing on this like a burning building scene and like these people like navigating it and like how stuff would burn up and all that stuff. And then so I wrote this like yeah like novel that sort of like ruminates on like death and uh, like cremation and like medical stuff. Uh, but it had a lot of like stupid quirks to it that I wouldn't want to. Like thinking about it now are kind of embarrassing. So I kind of scrapped that and then wrote something else that was sort of inspired by Spurious by Lars Eier, which in turn like he
Oh.
takes a lot of influence from Thomas Bernhard. So it was like 2 layers removed from Thomas Bernhard. Not that good.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny at the time when I was writing it, and then I like reread it and like, this isn't funny. Like these aren't
So
funny scenes.
so Lars Eier is someone who blurbed you.
Yeah. He's cool. I like him a lot. He's in
He,
the
he
UK.
he's who is he?
He's he was a philosopher and
Mm,
then started writing novels. He started like um, this is back I don't know like early like mid 2000s. He was blogging. So he
okay.
had this blog called the Spurious blog, and he's writing. He's like riffing on these two philosophy professors,
Okay.
these two characters, and then turned into a book, and then turned that into a trilogy. And now he's doing another trilogy, um, sort of yeah, like similarly about kids in school, like high school or college or grad school, but there's like a character who is basically modeled off after a famous philosopher like Wittgenstein or Simone Weil and
Yeah.
uh, Nietzsche. So yeah, no, he's cool. So he like I got Spurious because this was on Melville House and it came out around the time uh,
The book is
Tao's
called
books came out.
Spurious.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Got you.
Spurious, Dogma, and Exodus. And so they just
Okay.
follow these two guys. It's kind of riff. It's like full of
Sick.
like shit talk, and they're like it resonated with me a lot because there's a lot of like talking shit about academia and
Yeah.
like grad school and
Yeah.
that stuff that was like really hit me right then at that time.
That's always good
Um,
shit.
yeah, so I tried ripping him off for a
Yeah.
while, and then I gave up on that.
I mean, dude, that's what that's yeah, that's kind of how you write. You read things and then write like them.
Yeah, no, it's normal. Yeah, and yeah, I think in that process, I mean, you gotta like. I was thinking about this. Yeah, in the context of like reviews and stuff, like anything you read, I think, at least in my experience, like you should be reading. And this applies to music too. You should be like reading and listening critically. And even if you love the thing, like there's something you could think of that you would do differently,
Yeah.
or you'd want to change, or be like, "This is cool, but what if they did this?" And then that could
Exactly.
be what you do. You know, like
Yeah.
you make that change that you see as a potential gap or something new to explore. And yeah, and it's just like a good experience too. Just like make yourself write a whole bunch of stuff and then just let it go and be like, okay, I got that out. And do something else now, and that
So
helps you figure
yeah.
out what you do.
Yeah. So you were reading Bernard and or like and Bernard adjacent people and Nausgard like before you wrote those early novel attempts, kind of before you were reading more outlet stuff, you'd say?
Yeah, I guess.
Or
Yeah,
or or alongside it.
yeah. I'm trying to think of like the timeline because I had read some Tao stuff way back, like
Yeah.
early 2010s, but
Yeah.
then I went off to school and like stopped reading fiction. Um, Although I remember reading Taipei, like I got it for Christmas the year it came
Yeah.
out. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna use my Christmas break to read a book. It's gonna
Nice.
be great. I
Yeah.
loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was over in Grand Rapids, Michigan, just like reading Taipei and like going record shopping and stuff. It was a great, great
Yeah.
holiday. And then, but yeah, then when I started reading again, my friend bought me Kanoskari and Struggle Book One, and I just got some like random old classics and stuff. I remember early on I read The Power and the Glory, like Graham Greene, and just like stuff like that. I don't know, just like
Yeah.
old stuff. Because I'd read a bunch of like, I was a big reader in high school, so I read a bunch of like the Lost Generation stuff and Vonnegut, uh, stuff like that back in high
Yeah.
school and college, and like yeah, David Foster Wallace in college, Dave Eggers,
Yeah.
Herman Hesse, Kafka, shit like that. So then I just read like mostly classics and stuff, like you'd expect, and then yeah, some alt-lit stuff, but mostly just Tao and like stuff online when it was coming
Yeah.
out. And then
Yeah.
yeah, I took a break from all book stuff and then got back into it, started reading this whatever. And then I remember thinking like these books from like the used bookstore are good, but like I wonder what Tao's up to.
Yeah,
Is he
exactly.
still
Exactly.
writing? Yeah, and then just finding people who are doing that kind of stuff. I remember finding Bud Smith, yeah, the Double Bird book.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and Sam Pink, Cicero, and like
Yeah.
other people who are just putting stuff out at the same time.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was like I basically wrote like that first novel without having read any of that, and then I read Spurious, and I was reading Knausgaard, and I remember like I'm trying to remember the timeline of it, but yeah, I read Spurious, and I was like, oh, this is great, and I was reading Knausgaard, and he mentions Bernhard, and I'm like, I should check this guy out, and then I read Frost, which is the first published Bernhard novel, and I was like, oh, this is what Lars read. This is tight.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and
Did you
yeah,
read more Bernard after that?
yeah. For a while, I tried to go in sequence, so I read Frost, Gargoyles, and what like Concrete, and then I started skipping around. So I've read a few
Okay.
of them.
You read like
Uh,
the losers and woodcutters and stuff?
I haven't read Woodcutters.
Oh,
That's the one
dude.
everyone. I remember that's the one like everyone in all they would talk about too,
But
and I
dude, you
haven't
know
read
what
that.
woodcutters is about?
Yeah, it's like a dude at a dinner party. He's like talking shit
Yeah,
about
but do you know
like
why he's
the
at the dinner
literati.
party?
No.
It's because like it's a whole literary world that like they're
Okay.
all like used to be connected to years ago, but it's because a woman killed herself, and that's why they're
Okay.
all there for the party.
Oh shit. So
Yeah.
it's like a memorial kind of.
exactly. And but he
Oh,
hasn't
okay.
seen these people in like 10 years, and he's just like, these fucking assholes, like they're washed artists.
Yeah, yeah.
They fucking suck. Yeah. What is it about that, dude? Why is it so good? It's like to rant against something. I noticed that,
Yeah, yeah.
probably I mean, there's a lot of like um yeah, I would say like your aesthetic is like um yeah, like embracing, yeah, just kind of grinning your way towards a type of fatalism.
Mm, mm.
Um
Yeah, yeah,
or
that's a good way.
like
Yeah, the
facing
fatalism. Yeah,
facing
the
death.
nihilism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, facing death with the with the grin.
I like
But
that. That's a good way to put it.
yeah,
Yeah, I
but
like that a lot about Bernhard because he had a.
the
Have you
coach
read the
story, I was
voice?
gonna say, the coach
Oh, right.
story
Yeah,
was the
that's it.
most
Yeah,
Bernharded,
yeah. That's
right?
just me going like, I'm just gonna take, you know, like for fun. Like, what if I take a Thomas Bernhard character, but make him a football coach in like 2018
Yeah,
in like the Midwest, and
yeah.
that's just like that's the joke. That's the whole
And
story.
frame it in a damn like a school interview format.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Like,
Yeah,
what's the stupidest place I could put a Thomas
yeah,
Bernhard? Yeah, like insane monologue kind of guy.
or the
Uh,
literary agent story had some of that too, where it's just like,
right. Yeah.
um,
Yeah, it's a fun like. Yeah, he's one of those dudes where if you just like, I've riffed on a lot just for fun, because like it's a compelling. I keep saying fun. I'm just say it again. It's a fun way to write. Like you
yeah,
just sit down and you're like, I'm just gonna rant. I'm gonna start italicizing words. I'm gonna start getting really repetitive. It rules. It's just like I don't know if you play any music, but it's like if you get like I play guitar a little bit. If you could like dial in some guitar tone, you start like playing a song, you're like, yeah,
yeah,
this sounds just like the thing. And it's like, you're just playing it, but it feels good.
yeah.
It's like you're scratching that itch.
No,
And
I
so,
mean,
yeah.
yeah, that's all. Yeah, it's so funny. Yeah, just all these. Well, it was interesting for me reading it, having kind of been in that mode of like, what it is just like techniques. Like I could see, I know all the stuff you've read, or a lot of the stuff you've read,
Right. Yeah, sure. Yeah,
so
yeah.
like I'm seeing the moves you're doing and how you're
Yeah.
doing them, particularly in this, which is, yeah, so I was looking at it, it's like 147 pages, um 3 parts, and like 69, like 69
Yeah.
stories over 69 stories over 147 pages. So a lot, just for people who haven't, like
You did some
so
math on it.
yeah, so the pages are damn I mean the stories are just 1 to 3 or 1 to 4 pages, but
Yeah.
especially when you're working in that short form and you're going to put it online, and the different like moves you do to kind of like jolt the reader. I did this pod with this kid, and I was trying to explain this point to him last week, and he was like wasn't getting it. He wasn't getting much of what I was saying. I don't really remember the pod that much, but I was like saying, but it's like anyway, it's just like I was like identifying like all the alt lit, like, or like the Tau move, or like the whatever,
Mm.
that kind of line broken move where you just kind of go like you say something and then you go, or I don't know.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Or you
Yeah.
go,
Some like
or you go,
postmodern stuff.
or something. There you go. Seems good.
Yeah.
um, but what it's doing is it's just jolting you out of the formality of like those moves just jolt you out of the formality of the tone that you think you're being led towards.
Right.
I really think it's a math. Yeah, this is like honestly, I was laughing my ass off, dude, because
Nice,
it's
man.
like, yeah, it's just like, but then what you do with those tools is like, yeah, like being able to create a sense of surprise in like a short period of time. Um,
Yeah, that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted to do going into it. Like,
yeah,
yeah, exactly. Like you could write in those modes where you're like, this is, I'm just like ripping someone off and it feels fun. But then also like, then you have to ask yourself like, what am I going to do to like subvert that or to
exactly.
like twist on them? And you like in like small stuff, like flash fiction online, especially, there's like this trope in like more self-serious writing, to be like, I'm writing a flash fiction piece. It's like 200 words long, and the last sentence I have like, I reveal that I have a dead child and I'm sad
Yeah,
about it.
yeah,
And it's like, oh, and that's the kind of shit that wins awards or whatever online. And I just thought it
right,
was so stupid. So I'm
right.
like, what if I take that formula, but then make the twist really stupid and just try
Yeah,
to make it like the stupidest thing I can think of? Like,
yeah.
and that's where you introduce these postmodern things where you just like undercut yourself, or you just like
Exactly.
do a non sequitur, or like address the reader, ask a question, stuff like
Address the
that.
reader. Yep.
Yeah, and that's why I felt
Bring them
like,
into the room. Yeah, go second person in the last line.
right, yeah,
Um,
that kind of stuff. Yeah,
but even
yeah.
sometimes, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just, I don't even know what I was gonna say. Yeah,
Yeah, well, I was just saying, like, yeah, and then there's like and I wasn't pointing out those I wasn't pointing out those like tools or like those moves, like because once you have them, like what you do with them is what matters. You know what I
I'm
mean? And
sure.
like
Yeah,
you
and
could
I
just
think it's
play, you
fine.
could just
Yeah,
do that all the time, and it wouldn't be
yeah. I
good.
mean, you write what you read. Yeah, and
Yeah,
you like
yeah. But
it's you're influenced by everything, and you riff on it, and like, but then, yeah, I think everyone, no matter what's gonna introduce their own spin on it. But I think like, at least for me writing that, I had this like goal going into it where I was like, I'm gonna start here, but then I'm gonna try to go somewhere completely different, in as many different ways as I can, and see
exactly.
like what that experience is like, and trying
Yeah,
to find a better way.
yeah. There's like the grave digger story around the end.
Yeah, that one is that's me riffing on Jan Fosse. I had
On
read like
Fosse.
yeah, I read Trilogy way back, and I was like,
Okay.
how he does that dialogue
Yeah,
where it's like it looks like dialogue, but it's just monologue, like the line break, even though it's
yeah.
the same person talking.
Exactly, exactly.
That is such like a simple move,
Yeah,
but it creates this great effect because it
yeah,
makes you like read everything differently and picture your head differently. And so, an early draft of that, I was just like, I'm going to follow this really strict conversational style where it's like, person says X, person said Y, and then build off of that
yeah,
and have that structure on it. And you get that repetition, you get that like mania
yeah.
in the
You're
like,
talking about
because
the
he does
story.
that so well.
Yeah, that's that. You're talking about the story with like where they're picking out the plot.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
they're like at a cemetery and they're
At
just
a
talking about
cemetery.
graves and shit.
Yeah, and the damn the woman's trying to get like a really good plot, like a really deep plot, and
Yeah,
then the husband's there and he's dead, but he's talking
yeah,
too.
yeah.
Yeah, that reminded me. Yeah, it's interesting, and it was like where it was placed in the story. It also reminded me of like in How Should a Person Be at the end. It ends on this kind of like cryptic, like parable,
Mm.
gravedigger scene, or it reminded me of the part in Sabbath Theater when he's going to the gravedigger and picking his own grave. But that tone, I kept
I
trying.
haven't read either of those.
Yeah,
I
I
should,
had a
should check
feeling
those out.
I was pretty sure you hadn't read Roth,
No, I haven't.
but
Yeah.
just because yeah, you're a minimalism, you'd have to fucking wade through all those rants. But I thought you might. But then you know what that tone reminded me of? It also reminded me of By Night in Chile. Have you read that book?
No, who's that by?
Oh, it's a Bologna. It's an early Bologna one. It's a real
I haven't
slim
read any
one.
Golan. Yeah.
Oh,
No.
damn, damn. But it's like, he's like, we need the best soil. We need like the best soil, like the
Oh
deepest, the
shit.
strongest soil. And that book is all about this shoe. You would like that one. It's this
Okay.
rant by a shoemaker, and he's like the best shoemaker in the world. And he makes the shoes with the best leather and the strongest, the most like
Yeah.
durable fucking stitching.
Yeah.
And then of course, like, then some guy goes and he's on his deathbed and some guy goes and like fucks up his whole shit. He's like, no, dude, the water's gonna, yeah, the water's gonna
Oh
come get
man.
you. It's gonna leak into your shoes, bro. He's like, no, I will find better leather. I will do better. Cause that's what it is. Like you're
Yeah.
pointing. Yeah. I think the Bernard stuff is comforting because it's like, it's speaking and the same thing that those moves are doing with Tao, what Tao does a lot, where he'll often
Mhm.
be like, he'll like whisper something or like not be heard,
Right.
or
Yeah.
like he'll
Yeah.
be like or something, or I don't even know. It's what it's doing is like I feel like it's like it's conveying and inviting the reader into like a sense of like a intense alienation,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
when Bernard's going like, yeah, I don't know,
No, I think you're right. I
clowning
think
the
they're
literary agent who thinks he's not gonna die,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. They're different. Like I think yeah, they stand out to me. I think they resonate with a lot of people because they're yeah. I like your comparison of the Bernhard like ranting and then the Tao mumbling,
Yeah,
which are like
yeah.
two different ways. Yeah, to get to this alienation and like I think it's kind of ironic because they're both super common, I feel, day to day experiences you have with people in the world, but they don't show up in literature that much, you know? Like if you read something off the shelf in the new fiction, it's like every conversation is very clear,
Mm,
succinct, people say things perfectly, it flows really well. people are speaking in paragraphs, but they're not like sounding crazy. But if you take a step back and you're like, what would this actually look like in real life? People are going to stutter, they're going to interrupt themselves, they're going to sound crazy. People are bringing all this baggage. They feel self-conscious, and that's the once you that was like opening up for me, reading this kind of stuff and being like, yeah, you could write about that, and then how would I write that way, or how would I write about that,
You think
and
there are
what kind
books
of
like that like just a bunch of like well-adjusted people who like go through the world talking in sick paragraphs?
yeah, I mean that's pretty
Are there?
common.
Okay.
Yeah,
I feel like a lot of the best books are about that, like alienation and like I don't know. That seems like a quintessential of like literature is like some kind of yeah, isolation, alienation, incommunicability. But I guess we're reading all, the Norwegian folks and stuff. Are you frozen? God damn it. Zach. Sick. Got you back.
yeah, I only just froze up, sorry.
Okay, you good, you good. Um, damn.
Yeah, no, so sorry, we were talking about like I don't know, I feel like I've read some books where like they're heavy on, or they'll have passages of dialogue and it's just like, I don't know, it doesn't feel super realistic because it'll
Yeah,
just be like, everyone's making their point really clearly, and there's no emphasis on how anyone's feeling during that moment, or like
yeah,
facial expressions. And all these are like little things that I think if you include them, it's probably easier to do in a really short piece. It jumps out. It makes you recontextualize what these interactions are like. It makes
yeah,
you think about it. And that's why I like that Bernhard, where he'll just be like, yeah, basically it's people like ranting at you or ranting at each other. Gargoyles is just like 2 pages of a guy going to see someone, and then like 200 pages of that guy just rambling at him. And the
right, 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 right,
narrator is there, he doesn't interact at all, doesn't
right.
react. It's a different way to think about the story. If you wrote that as a dialogue, it'd be a completely different book that you
Yeah,
don't expect. Uh, so yeah, that's what. So I feel like I've read some stuff like, I don't know. The only thing I can think of right now is this Miyako Kawakami.
mm,
She's a contemporary Japanese novelist.
yeah, I know.
Yeah, and she wrote. I was reading something there. I forget what it was called. Heaven, maybe. And yeah, I just had this moment where it's like these people are just like speaking in nice paragraphs to each other,
Mm,
and
mm.
it's like I don't know, it just didn't sit right with
Damn.
me.
Did is that some Yuka edited or nah?
Yeah, she did some. Yeah, she did some copy editing on it.
Okay, got you, got you.
Yeah,
Interesting, interesting.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. She was cool. She sent or they sent a pic of she was like they printed it out and she was doing some copy edits, and then she got to the story with all the intentional typos where
yeah,
it has like had too much blood drawn, start to pass out. You could see like she's correcting them in the first like 2 sentences, like circling stuff and writing lots of question marks, and then she's like, "Oh, I get it," and then she stops. And she's like, "Okay."
wait
And
for
was
yours.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, you're talking about for there's a different Kawakami. I
Okay,
might
there's a
be
different
confusing.
Kawakami.
Yeah.
Okay, but no, no,
Maker
no.
Kawa Yeah, no, you're right. Because for Soft Skull, back when Yuko was editing there, they put out
Yeah,
Hiromi Kawakami. I think
there you
that's her
go.
name.
That's who I was
Yeah.
thinking of. That's
Yeah,
who I was
she did
thinking of.
Parade and
Okay, yeah,
uh, People from My Neighborhood.
yeah,
Yeah, this is a different Kawakami. Well,
yeah.
actually, yeah, I picked up one because I went to the like bookshelf in the library. I was like, oh, Kawakami, great. I grabbed it. It was the other one. I'm like,
Got you,
pretty good
got you,
too.
got you.
Yeah.
Um, damn. But yeah, so Yuka edited it. Um,
Yeah, she put out a couple of the, I want to say it's her only comic books on Soft Skull. But I think is I like it a little bit more. I want to read more about her. I think she did the Nakano thrift store, which is kind of
exactly.
bigger.
She
Yeah.
did what?
What was it called? No, the Nakano thrift shop or
Okay.
thrift store. I think
Okay.
that was a bigger book.
Yeah.
That was the only Kawakami. And then Miyako did a book called Breast and Eggs and a couple other novels on Europa editions, which is a publisher I don't know much about.
Yeah.
But she like won some prize for like the novella version of Breast and Eggs, and there's a great little Wikipedia article about it where like the judge is like, "Fucking hate this book. This is like a horrible story. I hate her writing style. She still won. It was really weird."
Damn. Damn.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. But
So anyway, yeah, I think that's just in the context of like dialogue or whatever, or what you choose to include or not include.
yeah.
Uh, and yeah, I like the messier stuff. I think it's funnier.
Are
And then
you
yes, subverting stuff from flash
yeah,
fiction.
yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, how you felt yeah, I guess I want to thank you for uh reading the book and reviewing it too.
Of course, dude.
Um, and
Yeah.
yeah, kind of like speaking up against the mob. You're the only you're literally the only like not person who could bring up some shit like just be like, nah, this isn't like, you gotta read the book. Like, I mean, even amongst
Yeah.
everybody, no one would touch it, dude.
I mean that sucks. Yeah. No, you
I
had a
gotta give
crack
you
shooting
credit
in
for
it.
that.
I sure, man. No, yeah, I like. Yeah, I'm happy I read it. It's a good book. I liked it.
I feel like when shit was going down too, I feel like I'd see you being like, wait, hold up, like what happened here though? Like, I don't really know what happened.
Yeah, it
Like,
was.
you're the
Yeah.
only person though. You're the only person.
No, I mean
Like, because you
I mean
actually read. I
yeah, I
swear
don't
to
read as
God,
much as I
dude.
want, but
Yeah, but like,
yeah.
there's some connection. There's some connection.
I think like yeah, I think you read a lot. I think everyone should be reading a lot, especially if you're a writer. I think a lot of people do read a lot, but it's tough to prioritize what you read. And yeah, I think like it was going both ways. Like Fuckboy's coming out, Sam Peak Isaac came out. Everyone decided like I have to I have to align myself in the right way because I'm afraid of whatever. Like I don't want to. Um, he had a lot of emotional language in the essay, and I think it was. Uh, I mean, I have a lot of personal feelings now about how I reacted and how I thought about things, and my relationship to all the people involved have changed. But like at the time, yeah, he was pitching it as like this is small press indie stuff versus the big evil corporate publishing world and all this other stuff. And I'm still very much pro indie lit, small press stuff. I don't read a lot of big press fiction. When I do, I'm usually disappointed in it, or I find stuff predictable about it. Like I just read that Diaries of an Oxygen Thief book.
Yeah.
Uh, it's like a bestseller or whatever. Fucking sucked. I hated that book.
Yeah, bro.
Uh,
I mean, that's why you fucking support if somebody's fucking
right.
broke into the walls, dude. Like, what are you
Exactly.
talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah.
And it's like, what emotional language, bro? It's like,
Well, I mean,
I don't think it was a
I don't want to get
fear
too
of,
deep
I don't,
into it,
yeah,
but
no, but I'm just saying, like, it wasn't fear of like a line. Yeah,
I mean, yeah,
it
it was mostly personal attacks against you.
yeah, it
Uh,
was full on
yeah,
personal attacks, bro.
but there's also like phrasing of, uh, it's personal because he has like this call to arms. Like if you believe in small press, indie stuff,
Yeah,
whatever.
well, then why the fuck did he remove his book from Softcore and try to submit to
I
Little Brown, dude?
that's like it's uh, yeah.
I'm just saying, dude. I'm just
No,
saying.
I
I'm
know.
just saying.
At
I
the
don't think that's
time,
what. I
all
don't think that's
people
what
had to
happened. I
react
don't
to.
think it was like aligning yourself. I think it was. I think it was full on. Um. Yeah, it was full on like like just like the worst, lowest form of like mob mentality. I feel like
Sure.
I don't know.
Well, I don't want to get too deep into it. What I want to say is, it was mostly a
I
personal
don't want.
attack against
Yeah.
you, but
What?
it was mostly a personal attack against you. But there was also a lot of language in it to say like you should draw the line in terms of like, because he obviously wasn't going to talk about what he was doing behind the scenes and him trying to get a better book deal and stuff. And he's also a person who has a better book deal or had better book deals than 99% of the other people, in the scene talking about it. He was getting advances for books. He was on soft skull, all this stuff. He was positioned better than like any of the indie lit kids hanging
Yeah.
out with him. Um, but
Position better than
all we
the
had,
$3,000 contract that I signed with
sure.
Gian.
But this is all stuff that no one knew, right? All people were going on was this essay. And my point is that he had this thing.
Oh
This
wait,
is
sorry. You said
about,
okay. Go ahead.
at the time, that's all people had to go on. And
Right.
that's all people had to make a decision about. And in terms of like reading the book or not, a lot of people took that to mean, I'm not going to read the book, I'm going to talk shit about it. And some other people took that to mean, I'm not going to read the book, but I'm going to praise it. And I'm going to
But I'm
be,
gonna what?
but I'm still going to praise it and hype it up and just be
Like
like
who?
contrarian to the contrary, just like random people. Um,
I didn't see any of those. You're
okay.
saying, oh, some people just, I'm not gonna read it and I'm gonna pray. You're talking about
Yeah.
like one person?
I don't know. Maybe there's probably more. But also, if you look at
Okay.
Goodreads, a lot of people did read it. A lot of people had legit
Of
reactions to it.
course. I mean, it was
Goodreads algorithm puts the most liked thing at the top. You can filter, and you're getting a trickle of reviews. Everyone's getting a trickle of reviews. But this is all to say, like at the time, it felt like you had to make a lot of these decisions about alignment. And yeah, some people were using this to discuss like a larger political point. And I'm gonna be honest, like I felt like that was a tactic that worked well in terms of manipulating how people thought about stuff because I'm someone, I don't listen to like pop music. I don't listen to music on big labels. I like indie music. I like not knowing anything about the musicians who are putting out this music. And the same thing applies to books. It applies to art, and a lot of people feel the same way. And so uh, this is all just to point back on like in general, I think a lot of people in the indie scene are there because they have, like a general disagreement with what kind of stuff gets on the big presses. Not that there's no exceptions. Obviously there are. I think Fuckboy is a great example of an exception. But I'm sure, uh, in general, if I pick up something off the new fiction shelf, like I kind of know going into it what to expect. It's probably going to be too long. It's probably going to have some twists at the end. It's probably going to have some more like political or cultural commentary kind of stuff. It's not going
Zach.
to take certain
Listen, bro.
kinds of formal
Just
risks.
listen. Let me just say something real quick. Let me just say something real quick.
But I'm not talking about fuckboy in
I
general. I'm
know,
just talking
but
about in
I
general.
know, but you understand that was Gion's project, right? Like, I think
Yeah,
it's like a convenient blindness. Like, you understand that was Gion's project and it came out 9 months as is on a different press, right?
sure. That's
Like,
good. I mean, people
do you
didn't know
think you
that.
should have any fidelity to like? I think if anything, you're talking about some kind of authenticity of being indie and not liking things that are mainstream. Every single person who was wanted to be approved by Gian so bad, and then when you completely trash his last project,
Mhm.
immediately that exposes you as not actually caring about what Gian likes. You actually didn't care about you don't actually care about the things that Gian cared about what's important in art. You were literally just scheming to try to climb up to
Of
get Gian.
course.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
I think it's a little hypocritical, dude. I think it's like you don't need to, Zach. You don't need to tell me about fucking mainstream books or whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No, I know. And again, like,
I
uh,
went through a whole MFA program only listening to Gian.
yeah, that's great. Yeah, but uh, no one had read the book, right? It wasn't out. No one knew what it was going to look like.
What was that?
Um, no one had read the book at the time. Again,
Right.
we gotta move past this stuff, man.
I know. I'm moving past it, dude. I'm moving past it. I'm moving past it. It's just like it's real though, dude. It affects. I don't know. It affects.
Sure, it sucked for you. It sucked for a lot of people. It was a chaotic time.
No, it affects.
We gotta move on.
It affects people. Yeah.
I think yeah, when John died and Tao put up all the write ups on Muumuu House, all the eulogies and stuff, and then ever since then, you see like a million people coming out of the woodwork. Like, yeah, he told me he was going to publish my book too. Blah blah blah. People are putting quotes from him in their books and using correspondence from him as a blurb. Like, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are talking shit about him because he rejected them. and I think it's pretty transparent. But
bro. Yeah,
again, I
I
just
don't.
wanted to focus on the idea of like reading books, talking about
Me
books.
too. Me too.
Like,
Me too. I
yeah,
literally only all I wanted to say was that I appreciated you doing just that, reading the
yeah,
book and talking about the
of
book,
course.
and
Yeah, and the
uh,
reason people,
that's literally all I
I
wanted
guess
to
my
say.
point was, yeah, of course, I
But it
think
is
it's
different.
uncommon.
It does matter how you move. Like you moved with courage. I don't know. It's like you should be able to move with. I don't know. That matters. Like courage matters. I feel like.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, and I think it's I like reading books. I like writing about books. I can't really stop myself from wanting to write even a short review on whatever I read. But that comes at a personal and political and social cost. Like uh, this is people's art, and obviously, that's like you're sensitive about how people respond to it, and if you feel like I've alienated a lot of people writing about their books, and that's tough because a lot of them are people in the small indie publishing scene. They're only
What you got?
selling like 20
Yeah.
books. They're only selling 100 books, and they're not getting any reviews. They have like 5 Goodreads reviews, and then they got like this motherfucker coming on this blog writing like a
Yeah,
pan
you're a
or
snarky
whatever.
fuck, dude. I see how you review books. But that's your shit. Like I understand your sensibility. I understand your orientation towards the world a little bit better for reading your book. And
Yeah,
um
but I think it's a disservice to any writer to just say, "Oh, my friend wrote this book; it's a 5-star book," or "My enemy wrote this book; it's a 1-star book."
I don't think it's ever a
Uh,
disservice to anyone just say it's a 5-star book. I only take in art that I like, I feel like. But I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying.
and
And
and this is back to the thing of like what you're reading. Like you should be thinking critically, even if you really love it. You should be thinking critically about it.
you think?
And I think so. Yeah,
Yeah, you should be
I
thinking critically about it. Yeah, you should be taking what you like.
I mean, you should be thinking critically about it. You should be open to yourself about what you're experiencing when you read it, how it's making you feel, what you think you would do differently, like what stands out to you at the not just like the subject or like the flow or whatever, but the word choice, the constructions. Like, are there a lot of cliches in this? Like, is there a lot of redundancy? Would I have edited this differently? Would I have sequenced this differently, like for story collections or poetry collections? Like that kind of stuff sticks out to me. But I think like so I can't help myself but uh, read anything with that eye, and then I want to write it down what I
Yeah.
experienced doing that. Yeah, even books I love, there's stuff that I maybe like stupid of me to say, but things I would do differently, or things don't sit right with me, or things I'd be curious about what would happen if you did it a different way. And
You
so that I
also
try to like think
yeah.
that in the review, right? Like what stood out to me is something unique, what's something I liked, what's something I didn't like, what would I have done differently. I think a lot of my reviews are like, I would be interested in this portion being in some book, or I'd be interested in resequencing it this way or editing it differently, because that's just how I approach
Nah, for
stuff.
sure.
But that doesn't sit well with a lot of people, and they'll freak out. So if you're someone who's like, I want to read books and talk about books and write about books, but I'm worried about the social impact of being openly critical or negative or calling something out on some bullshit it's doing. You're gonna have to pay a social price to that. You're gonna get blocked by people. You're gonna lose friends over it. You're gonna get,
You've had shit like that
uh,
happen?
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I had people talking shit about me. I wrote this middling review of this book. I thought it was fine, but it wasn't great. I thought it did a lot of stuff that was dumb. And somehow they found it and started talking shit about me on Twitter and posted my headshot. And they're like, "Look at this dumb motherfucker! Look at this ugly idiot!" And then I laughed because that this person, it was like the picture of me. I had like my eyes closed, my mouth open, short hair and a beard, white dude, and this person had almost an identical author photo, fucking same headshot, eyes closed, mouth open, facial hair, and I'm like, we look the same. You can't make fun of me for that shit. But
Yeah.
and then stirring up a whole bunch of shit. Like, yeah, you get blocked by people, you get you know soft blocked by people over it, and it just
I don't
comes
even
with
know what that
the
means.
that's
What
the
does that
game.
mean, soft blocked?
It's where you block someone very briefly and then unblock them, so
Oh.
that if you're following them or they're following you, it removes that mutual connection.
I see, I
Yeah,
see.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, so I think a lot of people won't write, you know, like honest reviews, especially in small press stuff. Um, and I understand that fear. It's but it is from a place of fear, you know. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, no, I guess reviews are good. I think cancel attempts are different, but
yeah, of course.
it
Yeah,
is, bro. It is. But damn, dude, there's so many funny ass stories in here. But how's your septology reading group? You doing that?
yeah, it's going well. I think I'm actually the furthest behind.
You still going? You still doing it?
Yeah, yeah. It became my nighttime book that I read just before bed. So I read like
Okay.
3 pages a day.
Are you are you are you doing work doing or do you not want to talk about anything in your personal
No, it's
life?
fine. Yeah,
I was just
yeah,
curious.
I can talk
You
about stuff.
started
Yeah.
doing mailman stuff and how that's going.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm not going to be doing the
Okay,
post office.
bet,
Yeah.
bet, bet.
Yeah. It ended up being different in a lot of ways than anticipated.
You went in for a
And
little bit?
yeah, yeah, I did some of the, I did some training. I did some the shadowing. I was riding around in the truck.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. Yeah. It was cool. It was cool. Yeah. The guy trained me. It was pretty dope. It was fun. But yeah, it's like the pay was a lot less than I thought it was going to be. The benefits don't kick in until like your first 2 years.
Yeah.
You're on a pretty long probationary period. Scheduling's pretty rough. The hours are pretty rough. You come in lowest on the totem pole. You get the shittiest shifts. You have to work like 6 days a week, compulsory overtime kind of stuff, and wasn't going to leave me any options to like do anything else. So uh, yeah, back on that. But it was a trip. Just crazy.
Yeah. Damn.
Uh,
Um,
but yeah, so that's what it is, and um, yeah, that's about the Septology book club. That was fun. That's just like a low key group chat with like
okay.
15 people in it.
Okay.
A couple people already finished the book. Yeah, I'm going
Nice.
super slow, but we just talk about stuff as it comes up and
Yeah.
kind of riff on it. It's a funny book. Yeah, it's a sad, intense book, but it's a pretty funny book.
Yeah.
So that's been
Yeah.
fun. Uh, but yeah, I wish I was in a position to just like sit down and rail it for a week like you did. That's really cool. Uh,
You
I
got
used to
you
be able
got
to do that, but I can't
you
do
got
it anymore.
real responsibilities.
Yeah, yeah, and I've been like reading other stuff like throughout the day, like in the snatches and free time and stuff. So I'm going extra slow. If I just, it's like a huge book, right? So I'm not gonna like, I have the hardcover too, so I'm not gonna like carry it around
Yeah, exactly.
uh, and read like, it's not a book you can read like 2 paragraphs of and put it back down. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
D-
not
eh, eh,
that snappy.
Yeah. No, for sure, for sure. No, I don't know. I don't know what's better to have kid. Yeah, I don't know. Is your practice changed a lot since having
Yeah,
kids? Obviously.
yeah, no, it's a big change. Yeah, especially going from 1 to 2 too. Because I wrote 50 barn poems when my first kid was pretty small,
Yeah.
and I wrote Everything Was Totally Fine um, before the second kid was born. So I was still pretty productive, but then with two of them and work stuff, like my job changed a lot in like negative ways, and I was pretty down on it for a while. So and then I lost it, so I'm like not in a space to. I haven't really been in a space to write too much
Okay.
past like a year, but I'm trying to
Yeah.
get back into it a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, and I wasn't reading as much, or it'd be like on the train, and I'd be like, there's no like Wi-Fi connection on it, so I'd read
Yeah.
like a book in a day,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
going both ways, and then nothing else.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been kind of a tumultuous year for a variety of reasons.
Yeah. That's real. Um.
Yeah, but I'm fine. We're fine.
Yeah.
It's just
Everything's totally fine. Everything's totally
yeah,
fine.
everything is totally fine. Exactly. Now I
Um.
catch myself saying that now. I'm like, I should probably stop saying that because it
Nah,
has all this
man.
connotation now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nah. It seemed like. Yeah. Fuck, dude. No, this shit made me start wanting to be excited about writing funny, making myself laugh, writing again.
yeah, good.
I think I
I think
think
you
my
should.
I think my favorite story is
I mean, there's a lot of funny shit in Fuckboy too. So like, you're not too far off.
I was laughing. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Going back to that mode, right?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. That's part of like. I don't know if I could do a novel because I don't know how I would write it in a way that would satisfy me, like for a whole novel. You know, like anytime I try to write something longer form, it ends up getting overly dramatic, and like I keep finding myself thinking in terms of these like structural tropes and cliches and stuff. And I'm like, how do you write a novel without twists and reveals and all this stuff? How do you keep like the humor up? How do you keep this alienation up? And it's like not impossible, but I don't know if I could do it. I don't know how I would do it. Um, so that's why I
Exactly.
just got stuck in this mode, you know,
Yeah.
because it allowed me to do what I was wanting to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess maybe it's gotta go beyond humor and alienation.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, because like a novel sort of needs a plot. I mean, it doesn't need to, but that's the general conception of a novel. Like, who is it even satisfying to write something where nothing happens for 200 pages, um, or like in my stories, like I can condense a lot of plot in a really small space. So like I feel like my book would have to span like 300 years, you know, if I if I try to write in that mode, but for a full novel.
Yeah. No, you do that well where you encase like or yeah, there's like one story that was reminding me a lot of it was reminding me a little bit of the beginning of like shoplifting. All the pizza stuff reminds me of what happens at the beginning of shoplifting. I wanted to look it up, but I think I had like the PDF I bought on Muumuu,
Okay.
and he's like working at a pizza place or something, and he's like
Ah,
just
yeah.
being kooky and fucking, but he's like young Tao, so he's like a real menacing and like fucking scary, just like real psychopath hours. But
Yeah, I
but
haven't read that in a while. I picked it up a couple of years back
oh
and
yeah,
flipped
he's
through it,
like
but I don't
you're
remember.
fucking you're fired. He's like I forget. I think he quits his job or something.
Yeah, yeah, it's very like yeah, don't give a fuck hours. Just
Yeah, exactly. Don't give
yeah,
a
just
fuck
walking
hours.
off. Yeah.
You have a couple
Yeah, yeah,
stories.
and going to jail and stuff.
You encase the whole story in like nothing happens in the real time, but you encase it like something starts to happen and you go, and then I thought all this goes 2 pages and then like it comes back the same,
Yeah.
like nothing happens. I feel like you could do that over or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean that's sort of what, not to compare myself to Nobel Prize winning novelist Jan
That's what Fosse
Fosse,
does.
but that's what he
Yeah.
does. That's what all
That's what
septology is, right?
Bernard
Like
does. Yeah. That's what
yeah.
um yeah. Um yeah.
Yeah, because
I've
that
been reading this
because that's
Anards.
like
He's
a
doing that
realistic
too.
thing. Who?
Yeah. Matthias Anard.
I haven't read him. But
Yeah, he's fucking yeah, he's a good ass friend.
cool.
Yeah, yeah, multiple of them. Almost no real yeah, almost no real time passes and
Okay.
everything
Yeah.
is memories.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah, I think it's a cool effect, and because it's a, I was thinking about this in the Fosse book club because it's like a real experience, especially like driving, right? Like you spend so much time in the car and just like daydreaming, remembering stuff, and remembering the same things over and over again, and thinking
yeah,
the same thoughts over again, and like the same
yeah,
phrasing over again. That's such a realistic depiction that I feel is pretty uncommon. And so, yeah, I like the. And then in writing my stuff, I'm like, you know, you could be in line at the grocery store and you just like in the 30 seconds there you think over like I don't know, just like the craziest experiences of your life just popped in your head randomly,
exactly.
you
That's
know?
how your novel would be. It'd be like you walking to the grocery store and like getting like some shit for your house and coming home. And like
Yeah.
along the way you'd have like a yeah, that's how your novel would be. But yeah, no, one story was because we were messaging about how absurdly literal Fosse can be sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The
Like
food
then
and
I went to
drink.
the
Yeah.
I went to the yeah, the food I was hungry and I went to the food and drink place and like I ordered like and he's all stoked off the fucking open face ground beef like burger
Yeah.
and I mean
Yeah,
a
yeah,
sandwich. He's like, yeah, this is like such a good sandwich and but
yeah. Just
there's one
always, yeah, frying up those eggs and stuff. Just,
yeah,
oh, this
exactly.
tastes real fucking good, man.
Yeah, yeah.
This is
He's
great.
like, but you know, and then like Shining, The Shining. He's just like, I'm driving in the woods, and then like I start walking, and then I park, but then it's getting, Did you read
Mm.
that one?
The Shining novel?
Yeah,
No.
or it's called A Shining.
Oh,
It's
no. Oh, this is a Fosse? No, I've read
yeah,
that
it's
one.
a really short Fosse.
Okay, okay,
It's like a long story kind of, and it's
okay.
sort of like he's just like I'm driving on a road and it's getting darker, and then I turn, and I turn, and then I should go back now. It's getting dark, and then he gets snowed in, and he starts walking through the woods, and then like he
Oh,
sees
shit.
like his parents, and he's not sure if it's parents, and then he sees like a bright light, and then the book's over. But it was reminding me of your one story where you were like, bro, oh my god, dude. yeah, it's one story you're like driving and like the fucking divider is getting narrower and
Oh yeah,
narrower. There's some like absurd and Fosse out about that.
yeah, nice. Yeah, I should read that one. Yeah, I like him a lot. I gotta read
It's
the
I,
rest of his
it's
stuff.
I. The subtology is the one that slaps for sure. Um, but um, but damn,
Well, I appreciate you reading it. Thank you, man.
yeah, dude. Um, yeah, I was gonna. No, it's good to just talk. I was gonna read something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just chat about whatever.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
the French authors you mentioned are a big blind spot for me. I've only read a couple of things
yeah,
in France
yeah.
because
I'm
you're
not.
on that Welbeck stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've been, I spoke to Dean about the Welbeck stuff, but I've read all of them, but Enard's like kind of, yeah, it's interesting when like you do different tech when people do kind of similar techniques. I mean, Enard's way more like expansive and like kind of modernist maybe, whereas Welbeck's like, but they kind of have like a similar whatever like sensibilities in some ways, but then like they're almost like the orientation towards the world or like the political implications are like different.
Mhm. Okay.
Because like but yeah, um um and I was noticing that too, where some like you, in some ways we're doing similar techniques or whatever, but um and I feel like you have more feeling than some absurdist techniques you do, of
Mhm.
like I'm doing this and then like I see someone's like head explode and like nah, you know what I'm saying? I'm just kidding, that didn't
Yeah,
happen,
yeah.
right?
No, yeah, yeah, yeah.
You have more feeling than that, but then like you also have to insist on like I've yeah, ending on an absurdist note, which is it's sick. I mean, I feel like you kind of are an absurdist, but like you're like unwilling to fully commit to some of the more.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah, because I feel like yeah, anytime you pick a term or like a school of thought, right, like absurdism or whatever,
Right.
immediately you're like, yeah, a bunch of random shit happens for no reason, and that's the joke. Um, but then like that's not super. I didn't consider that super fulfilling, right? I didn't want to write like a yeah, a book where nothing like there's no state still, like where nothing happens or whatever,
Yeah.
or anything that happens doesn't matter. I didn't want anything to feel like interchangeable,
Yeah.
um, unless it's like that's the point of it. So yeah, I wanted to ground everything as much like it's absurd, but it should have this logic to it, even if it's not like normal logic. Because
Yeah.
yeah, I could. I mean, I haven't read a whole bunch of like super absurdist stuff, but you know, there's like that vibe you get, like, oh, this is a play where like people walk on and say like a random word and then walk off, and like that's the absurd kind of humor of it, or that's the commentary of it.
Right.
So yeah, I didn't want to like replicate that, but which is tough because then absurd is still like the right term for a lot of it, but it doesn't have. At least I didn't want it to have that connotation in how I approach it.
I feel like, yeah, I feel like the fact that you're, when the narrator's talking about kids and stuff, I feel like it's hard to be a complete absurd nihilist absurdist if you got kids.
Yeah,
Those are often the
yeah,
terms in
yeah.
the book. I feel like, that like, I don't know, that one story he talking about making a casserole and bringing the casserole to the house or whatever. And,
Yeah.
or I don't know. And then at the end, he's like, he imagines how many guns he could hold in his hands. And it's like a joke, but then it's also like, I don't know. It's like protecting his kids, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, I think having, yeah, I feel like something that I was thinking about a lot, and I still think about with some stuff other people are writing is like, how do you live in the world knowing what you know, or like feeling what you feel? You know,
Yeah,
like we live in like a post nihilism world, right? Like you could conceive of a time before people like before the nihilism movement, like before the school of thought was like uh, articulated and then like taught and spread, right? Like, um, but now we're in this post-nihilism world. So like we've already acknowledged, like, yeah, maybe everything is meaningless, and it's meaningless if you can't even make your own meaning. We are post-existential, post-nihilist, post-absurd, post-postmodern, but we're still doing it. We're still having kids. We're still making casseroles, and we're still like driving around and picking up pizza. Uh, And so it's just funny to me, like we have this the history of human knowledge and philosophy, and political thought, and all these things have happened in the world, and yet we're still just doing super mundane stuff, you know, like um, yeah, just like this thought of like you're a kid, you're like an angsty kid, and you're thinking like, oh, this is all meaningless. I'm gonna do whatever I want, and you're like rebelling against a dad who has like a PhD in philosophy. He's like, yeah,
Yeah,
I know, I don't care,
yeah,
you know, like
yeah,
this isn't you. So that's funny to me, right? Like uh, we have this, like we know about all these horrors and terror and like horrible things in the world and these crazy schools of thought, and yet we're still just doing your normal day-to-day life. And so that's kind of what I was like thinking about a lot in the book. Um, how yeah, you could just like have these really intense, intrusive thoughts that are like so much bigger than yourself, but it's still you're still doing normal life, and it's like happening to everybody all the time, you know. So like you can't really even revel in it that much. You
yeah,
can't like celebrate it, like post absurdity.
yeah, yeah. Post absurdity.
I don't think
Um,
I did a good job like explaining myself that
no,
well. Maybe that's
you
why I need to
totally
write the
are. You
stories.
totally are. You think like why? Yeah, why do you keep doing it? You think it's because you had you had you had your first kid in 2019, so before the pandemic.
2018. Yeah, my kid was like
18.
1.5 when it all went down.
Okay.
Yeah.
You think having kids is one, or what? Where are we now?
What do you mean?
Post absurdity.
Yeah, I mean we're opposed to everything. I don't know, like it's all on the table,
Yeah, for
uh,
sure.
and so yeah. I mean we talked about this on the DM a little bit, but I guess like what I'm what I was trying to do with these stories and what I'm trying to do with the stories I'm writing now still is like we talked about with Bernhard and Fosse, where you sort of write the same story
Yeah.
over and over again.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
And Septology is talking about all of his paintings are the same painting, you know, where it's like
yeah,
trying to articulate something that you can't just state plainly. And I think that's a reasonable approach to writing because it's like this, just this sense in my head. It's like a mix of a physical and emotional uh, like stimulus like in my brain. And writing stories a certain way is the best means I have of like capturing that feeling or expressing it a little bit. But none of them are perfect. None of them really get it. Or maybe it's like an accumulation of all of them to get
yeah,
closer to it.
yeah,
And so you have to, I think like a lot of writing is trying to, yeah, like make a painting of, trying to make a replication of this super abstract hit in you somewhere. Uh, and anytime you try to talk about it, you can't really express it. And
yeah,
like in Septology, it's always funny to me because it's like trying to talk about his own paintings. He's like, it's like a painting of a boat. It's called The Silent Boat. It's like a boat, but it's like in the sky. But I like
yeah,
painted over it with black a
yeah.
lot.
He
And it's
always does
like,
that. He paints over it. Yeah,
yeah. And so like, you can tell like he's really trying to express something, but he can't talk about it and he can't even think about
right,
it in
right.
a clear way. All he can do is make a painting. And I think Fosse is using that as an allegory for his writing, right? He's writing the same scenes and the same kind of
Yeah,
characters throughout his books and the same experiences because he's trying to articulate this uh, pit in his stomach or this like hole in his brain.
yeah. We were talking
Yeah,
about how in Septology, all of Fosse's books that he's written before are kind of folded into this big story, and then
yeah,
like all the early memories of the events, those were a whole book on its own before. So it's kind of like he's just trying to write the same core stories over and over again.
yeah,
um I had this idea that um like so it sounds like you believe in writing a little bit still, maybe.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I want to. I think about it a lot, and I've been writing a little bit more, but I also don't have like an articulable project that it's like working towards. So I just like the past couple of weeks, I just sent some stuff out for like websites
yeah,
and stuff just to like get the wheels turning again.
yeah,
And
um
you start asking myself those questions again, like what about this isn't doing what I wanted to do, and challenge myself to come up with new turns
right.
to take or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, one idea that's kind of relevant I had to that was like because some of your stories are they almost feel like parables sort of.
Hmm.
Um and like one idea I had was like, well, and again, like, you know, there's I, I I feel like this book was also cathartic for me to read because I feel like in a lot of ways, I mean, you're telling me to let go, let go of this old shit. And I think and the truth is like, that year was so fucked up to me for me.
Yeah,
Like that
yeah,
pandemic year was
sure.
so fucked up. And I know everything that happened, including stuff we're talking about, it just can't not be connected to the state that people were in and whatever like
Yeah,
weird psychic rifts were happening in the world at the time, and probably differently for everybody, which makes it even gnarly. Like I'll talk to people like, oh, I went to fucking Italy for the whole pandemic, I was partying. It's like, oh, cool for you, but that's still a random ass
yeah,
thing to be doing, like,
right, right, yeah,
like sick for you, but like, and then I just look around and I see people like, I'm like Dan Bernard at the party when I see how people are just like, oh, whatever, like fucking, I'm still trying to understand what that historical event was. And
right.
I think it is some kind of loss. Like you had that great story. So it was cathartic because you were like prodding at some of the absurdities of that
Mhm.
time.
Yeah,
Whether I was bringing that's you painted the canvas that allowed me to sort through some of them,
for
like
sure.
going to vote and then like you're like on the
Yeah,
screen and like the screen's not working and then the actual president comes, like whatever. It's like it's not even simple what you're saying like politically, but it's just like it was just like the weird shit that was
oh yeah.
going on.
I mean, yeah. There's a reason I was like, there's like what, like five stories about presidents and stuff. Like,
Five stories of President Barack Obama story
yeah,
where you
yeah,
just
it's
the or even just like everything to celebrate that everything is fucked, we're gonna just start burning things down and you start listing all the things that you burn down with the parentheses. I haven't seen that parentheses move where you do little comments in parentheses. That shit was funny as hell.
thanks.
But but
Yeah, but it's definitely like yeah, like it's a product of the time, right? Like at the
yeah,
time, like the whole world's fucking falling apart, you
but I
know?
was
Like,
thinking like that's one thing that got broken down was like some kind of um I don't even know, like sense of some bigger, it's like more and more bigger structures that whether subconsciously or not give us some sense of belonging or senses of
mhm,
continuity over time.
yeah,
And I feel like what we're searching for is like, or like I've been thinking about the idea of like the eternal, like is anything eternal anymore, like that
mhm,
you can be a part of, like, it was like God, it was many different things in the past, and then even like something about just some baseline, yeah, something got broken in that time, I feel like. But I had
mhm,
this idea of like and I was saying some of your stories were like parables. Like I had this idea and talking about retelling stories. Like Harold was reading this Guy Davenport book, and he was saying that who's like a critic, and he got some. I haven't read him yet,
mhm,
but he was talking about like the reason why he's like stories are most powerful, like not even in a critical argument, but they just are internally most powerful when they harken back to the archaic, or like when they have like a
mhm,
mythical quality where they're retelling an old story, like respecting the archaic stories. And then it's not even like a argument about art. It's basically saying like the fact that these stories have been around for so long, and then you're partaking in the continuation of them being told, is itself continuing some eternal thing.
okay, yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. And that cycles back to like you're thinking of the eternal, like the art form of telling a story. Like, is that
right.
connection or could be that connection?
Right. Or
And
telling a
oh,
story over and
yeah,
over again in your own life, everyone telling the
right,
same.
right,
And I was
right,
curious about what, because, I was saying a lot of your stories do have this like self contained. I mean, some of them are more riffs, but some of them do have that kind of quality a little bit. And I was curious about how much you thought about like myths or
mhm.
like retelling. Or
That's
I
a
feel
great
like that would
question.
slap if
Yeah,
you started going in on like I'm kind of doing that too a little bit where I'm
yeah,
looking at certain books and like, books from the Bible or just all kinds of shit. Or, it's
right.
that Auerbach book too, which is really good, which kind of gets you charged up to read, like understand
Mhm.
what those stories meant in that time.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about it in terms of that, but that's a good.
Yeah,
I should think more on that. That wasn't something off the top of my head,
yeah.
going in on it. But did you read A Time for Everything by Knausgaard?
I never read it. I never read it.
Okay, because that's exactly. I
He's
actually just
retelling the
picked.
Bible.
He's retelling a lot of the key stories from the Bible, and he just
Right.
does like I just picked it up off the shelf just like the other day to read
It's right here.
a
Yeah.
section of it to my wife because like it's like a long story. But we have some friends with kids, and they have
Yeah.
like they have a bunch of books that like their extended family gave them,
Yeah.
and a lot of the books have like they're like Christian like stories and messages, and we're like our kids
Yeah.
don't know anything about those. Like what is it? What kind of dialogue is going to open up if our kids like read a book about Noah's Ark, for example?
Right.
Like, we have lots of questions, and I'm like, yeah, because this is a fucked up story. Because of this Knausgaard book, he writes like it's like a 200-page long retelling of the Noah Ark story, but from the perspective of someone who's not on the boat,
Damn.
you know. And it's just like it just goes and goes and goes, and like the water's rising, and people are climbing up the mountains, and they like the boat shows up, and they're like, hey, it's the fucking God sent a boat to save us. And then like Noah pops out. He's like, no, you're
Yeah.
not part of this. You're gonna
Damn.
drown. You know,
Damn,
it's
bro.
really intense. And yeah, I thought that was like a beautiful part of that book. Is like he just does it for like I don't know, like 3 or 4 Bible stories, just like Cain and Abel and Noah's Ark, and
So
like
he's
just
eating. He's Cain and Abel too.
yeah, yeah. You like think on it, and you're like,
Yeah.
what is this Bible story from any other perspective?
Right.
It's a completely insane story. You know, it has
Right.
so
Right.
much emotional resonance to it, and he does it
Right.
really, really well. So
Right.
yeah, you should check that out. It's a sick book.
Yeah, I gotta read that one. I gotta read that one.
Yeah. So there might
Um,
have been some of that going into to mine because I read like a lot of him like back when I was getting into writing again. And that book really sat with me. Yeah, it gave me nightmares about angels,
really?
which is crazy. It's like
Damn.
angels are supposed to be good, but he writes them in such this like he really writes them in this effective like these are supernatural beings and they
Yeah.
have a logic you can't comprehend and like how crazy and insane it would be if like an angel is actually walking around, you know, like what do they know about humans? What do they not know? How do they interact? Like it
Yeah.
spooks me. Yeah, it's it's pretty good.
Yeah. I was just listening to damn Joy Williams was reading some stories of her new stories, and I think it's
Okay.
about like something about the soul was in the title, I think, and she was talking like one of the characters is like the devil or the fallen angel, and they're like
Hmm.
having he's like talking to Jesus.
Oh shit. Sounds good. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like Joy Williams a lot.
I
Yeah.
was gonna ask. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh yeah, I like her short stories a lot. And that Stories of God is really good. I haven't read all of her stuff, but yeah, I liked how do you say that? Harrow, the green cover one with the horse on it that came out a couple of years back.
Yeah. Yeah. With the
That was
horse.
really good. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I gotta read. I read a good few from the visiting privilege.
Okay. Yeah, I don't
Um.
think I read that one, or maybe I did. I don't know. She's got a few collections
Yeah.
uh, that are really good, and because yeah, she has that quality. Especially yeah, Harrow has that quality too because it's very like biblical, very
Mm,
apocalyptic, but it's still like ultimately people, you know, with their
yeah.
own mania and their own preoccupations.
Yeah.
And she really emphasizes like this disconnect between like parent and child, and adult and child. Like a lot of her early stories too. And, like, there's a lot of like little kids talking to like their drunk parents, you know, which I think
Yeah.
is a like it's a really intense, fucked up dynamic that
Yeah.
was and probably is pretty normal, you know. Uh, but that sucks that it's normal. Like, and that's sort of the part of the like that's a critique she's making of
Yeah.
society or of people in these stories.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think you can capture a lot about the world by like writing about or thinking about relationships between adults and children, just in general, like how we think of kids. Like, do you think of a child as a person? Basically, like, is a fundamental question that people would say, like, oh, of course. But then if you like really look at their behavior or like quiz them on it, they sort of don't. You know, people have a lot of expectations on kids
Yeah.
to behave certain ways, and they don't really think of them as just like small adults. They think of them as a different entity. Uh,
Yeah.
I think like says a lot about how we think about each other.
Damn.
So yeah, that's probably why I was writing about kid stuff a lot too in the book because it's like it changes how you think about the world, um,
Yeah.
obviously, and the future and like the present and what normal means. Because like your kids are going to think whatever is around them is normal.
Yeah.
So it's like up to you to try to make it good. You want that normal to be good.
Yeah. Yeah. You feel like you got to try to make it good if you have a kid.
Yeah, yeah, and then but then you're an adult. Like you know, I have all these visceral memories of like cause my first kid didn't sleep well for like a really long time. It still doesn't sleep that well, and so like especially right when the lockdowns are starting, and you know I'd just be up all night with my kid like in a rocking chair, just like looking at my phone, reading about like the death tolls and like oh, they found a new case like in the next town over and all this stuff, and like they're locking stuff down. It's like a fucked up time to be like with a baby,
For real,
you
bro.
know. uh, and then uh, and then to see, yeah, like you're talking about like the eternal and like
Yeah,
so it was like the institutions around us felt like they were falling apart.
that's what I'm
You know,
saying. Yeah,
like the government didn't seem stable.
right. And the
You know,
idea of the state even is
yeah,
being a sense of belonging.
yeah, right, yeah. Like you take for granted all these institutions
Right,
to like remain normal,
right,
and like business to behave a certain way, and presidents to behave a certain way, and
right,
people to behave a certain way, and then like this big disruption happened, and you realize
right.
like none of it, yeah, could fall apart at any time. But it kind of
Yeah,
is. It's kind of like actively falling apart. You know, things kind of like stabilized and things are sort of normal now. But like, yeah, especially at the time, it felt super tumultuous, and it was, yeah, like I said, like you just look at people differently. Um, but then there's also like that's normal. You wake up every day and you have to do it, whatever it is. You're still doing it.
do you feel like, yeah, do you feel like what are the main things that keep you optimistic? This is just Zach trying to be like everything's fucked, bro, and then
Yeah,
me being like, you don't gotta end it absurdly, dude. Like you could have earnest optimism about something. And you're like, fuck you, bro.
I
No,
mean, I think like all of it. I think it's
yeah,
fine. I don't know,
yeah,
like,
everything's
uh,
fine, bro.
yeah. I mean, again, like just from
How's
the context of kids, like my
yeah,
kids are great.